The last 36 odd hours have been dramatic in Nepal, where youngsters or Gen Zs have brought down an entire government. Large-scale protests broke out against the Nepalese government, protesters clashed with security forces, and in no time, Kathmandu descended into chaos. At least 22 people have lost their lives and more than 400 are injured. Nepal's parliament has been set on fire, and so have the homes of top ministers, including their president and the prime minister. Suddenly, the government of Nepal found itself cornered and had nowhere to go. The end result? The resignation of Nepal's Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli. As protests escalated, his ministers quit one by one. Many of them are believed to have fled the country. So Oli had no other option. He put in his papers in the afternoon, and the streets of Nepal have erupted in joy. Celebrations or victory marches are underway following the resignation of the Prime Minister, with this being seen as a victory of the dynamic Gen Zs, the same Gen Zs who have been taunted for being lazy and whatnot. Nepal's army has put out an appeal calling for peace in the country. Meanwhile, India too has reacted to the developments happening in neighboring Nepal this morning. India's Ministry of External Affairs said that it is monitoring the developments closely. New Delhi says it hopes that all those concerned exercise restraint and address any issues through peaceful means and dialogue. New Delhi has also urged Indian nationals stuck in Nepal to be cautious. Now, this dramatic story in Nepal is evolving by the minute. Developments are coming thick and fast, and we are recording this video on Tuesday evening. Now, chances are, by the time this video comes out, there could be more updates. Like, will KP Sharma Oli flee the country? Will the army take over in Nepal? Will Nepal be under army rule? These are some of the chatters that have been going around. We don't have an official update though, but chances are many of these updates could happen in the minutes and hours to follow. But in this video, let's take a step back. Just understand how all of this began and how Nepal plunged into absolute chaos. Hello and welcome. I'm Shubham Chauhan. Let's get started. So let's start with a basic question. Why has Nepal plunged into chaos? And what explains the anger of Gen Zs that is spilling onto the streets? The broad answer is dissatisfaction with the present government. Youngsters are not happy with the regime, which faces allegations of serious corruption, including the now former Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli. There are no jobs in the country, the economy is tanking, and corruption is rampant. The youngsters in Nepal want change, and we'll elaborate on this point as we go along. But first, let's look at the immediate trigger, and that is social media, Gen Z's favorite tool. From expressing their creative side to hopping on to the latest trends, catching up on news, and even memes, social media has practically become a necessity, particularly among the youth. The Nepal government tried to disrupt this Gen Z social media love. They decided to ban social media platforms. Last week, Nepal's government decided to block 26 such social media platforms. These included WhatsApp, Facebook, X, Reddit, LinkedIn, etc. The reason was that these social media platforms refused to comply with the government rules. Earlier, the Nepal government had given foreign platforms 7 days to register their operations in Nepal and have a local contact person appointed. Many of these platforms did not comply, and this deadline to comply expired on the 4th of September. So, the Nepalese government ordered internet service providers to block these social media sites who did not comply. The government says regulating social media in the country is necessary to tackle misinformation, and hence, they said that foreign media platforms have to register themselves locally. In fact, the government's move came after the Supreme Court said something on similar lines. The court upheld the requirement for social media platforms to have themselves registered locally in Nepal. This criteria, the court said, was needed to tackle misinformation and threats stemming from it. Although the court did not advocate for a full throttle ban, they did give the green signal for the government to have a legal framework for compliance in place. This did not sit well with many in Nepal, this attempt to ban social media platforms. Critics of the government said that this was censorship and nothing short of dictatorship. Now, just to give you some context, internet penetration in Nepal is above 90%. As per last available data, there are 2.97 million internet subscribers in Nepal. Social media accounts for 80% of the total internet traffic. And if we look at an app-wise breakup, Facebook leads the chart with 13.5 million active users, Messenger has 10.85 million, Instagram has 3.6 million, 1.5 million LinkedIn users, and 466,000 X users. Many in Nepal depend on social media for their day-to-day business. A ban on the big apps like Facebook and WhatsApp meant that they were staring at an uncertain future. The Nepalese government on its part defended the move, saying that they respect free speech. Now, incidentally, this is not the first time that the Nepalese government found itself in a controversy with a social media platform. In 2023, it had banned TikTok for disrupting social harmony, goodwill, and diffusing indecent materials. This ban on TikTok was lifted last year after TikTok and ByteDance, their parent company, pledged to comply with local laws, including a ban of pornographic sites. This time, given the scale, Gen Zs were upset. On the limited social media platforms available, youngsters started a campaign which was called Nepo Kids. This basically looked at the children of well-known politicians and how they were living a luxurious life from corruption, even as the common youngsters suffered in Nepal. Gradually, anger mounted and thousands took to the streets. Reports say Hami Nepal, which is a non-profit organization, organized the protests that took place on Monday. Yesterday, some of the protesters stormed the Parliament of Nepal in Kathmandu. They stormed the Parliament premises. Police of Nepal responded by firing tear gas, rubber bullets, water cannons, and even live ammunition. 17 of the at least 19 deaths took place in Kathmandu itself. Soon, things spiraled out of control, and within a matter of a few hours, Nepal was into chaos. The Nepal government soon backtracked and announced that the ban on social media platforms was being lifted. Their home minister quit, citing moral responsibility. The prime minister requested for calm, but it was too late. The protesters said, enough is enough. And they did not want to stop only on this issue of social media. Now let's come to the other issue, and that has to do with Nepal's politics. You see, in 2008, Nepal became a federal republic. The monarchy or the king's rule was abolished that year after 239 long years. Following a decade-long civil war, there was a regime change in Nepal in 2008. Since then, Nepal has only been marred with political instability. There have been 12 prime ministers in Nepal in the last 18 years. And guess what? No government in Nepal has completed its full term since 2008. Since 2015, Nepal has seen a revolving door policy, meaning power has been shared among three old men. One is Pushpa Kamal Dahal, alias Prachand. Second is Sher Bahadur Dyoba. And the third is the Prime Minister who just resigned, that is 73-year-old KP Sharma Oli. These three men have broken alliances with one another, gone with the third person, formed a government, only to walk out of it over power-sharing differences. Neither of their governments have lasted for over 1 year. And it is this political instability that has taken a hit on the Nepalese economy as well. Their real GDP growth was 4.9% in the first half of fiscal year 2025. But it's the jobs that are a big concern. As of 2024, the unemployment rate in Nepal was at 12.6%. Estimates suggest that the job situation in the country is not going to improve anytime soon. By some estimates, over 5 lakh young Nepalese enter the job market every year, but they struggle to get a decent job. In fact, World Bank says 82% of Nepal's workforce is in informal employment, which is far higher than the global and regional averages. Many of these jobs that the youngsters have are extremely low paying. So what happens next in Nepal? Reports say the army has taken charge as PM Oli has resigned, and now even their president has resigned. The army has already appealed for peace. Some local reports say there are chances that the army will be in place till order is restored, until we have a new government. But one thing that is becoming certain is that none of the three leaders that I mentioned will be able to return to power. The youngsters seem to have firmly established their demand. They want change. The Gen Zs, the youngsters of Nepal want change. They want a new political order altogether. And then they've categorically said and they've rejected the old guard. Till such time, the only alternative is for the army of Nepal to take charge and control things temporarily. And once that happens, it'll be a reflection of what we are seeing as far as India's neighborhood is concerned. Sri Lanka in 2022, Bangladesh in 2024. In both these countries, anti-corruption protests forced the leaders at the time to resign and leave the country. Mahinda Rajapaksa in Sri Lanka and Sheikh Hasina in Bangladesh. And in both cases, once the leaders fled, the respective armies were deployed and they became involved as far as running the government was concerned. Meanwhile, there is also speculation that Nepal could revert to a monarchic system, the same system that they had abolished in 2008. A section in Nepal had protested earlier this year, calling for a return of the king rule. But regardless, whichever way this goes, this protest by the Gen Z in Nepal, where they've brought down an entire government, will go down as one of the most turbulent phases and a turning point, a big turning point in this Himalayan nation's history. That's all we have for this report. Thanks for watching.